Hello, hello. This is Bestball with Bindles. I am not sure if there's anybody in here right now, so I'm going to give it a few minutes. But just a little about me. I have been around Bestball for pretty much since 2020. I think since around when Underdog started, and I'm just very, very obsessed with it. I watch a lot of streams, chip chasing, um, and a lot of other content creators that are all about it. And so, very gonna dip my toes into the waters, and I hope you guys um, enjoy it and come along for the ride. And I'll also be doing a little bit of Dynasty, um, not too much, but I'm not an expert, but definitely just how to think through things and just kind of like some market thoughts and kind of like movement and news that go on. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to start out and I'll give it like another minute or two and then I'll get going. Alrighty, so this is a startup that I'm doing right now. It is 12 team Superflex tight end premium, zero point 0.5 tight end premium. And I just want to kind of walk through kind of some of my selections first, and then we will hop into an underdog draft, Superflex underdog draft, which personally I am not. I'm a fan of Superflex Dynasty, but in terms of underdog, I'm really more of a one QB guy, just because I think it's just because what's what I'm used to. It kind of, even though I'm very used to Superflex for Dynasty, just for some reason the way my brain works, I just do not really enjoy Superflex. So it's only going to be open for not too much longer. I think it's like 85% filled as of a few hours ago, so maybe even 90%. Um, so yeah, I'm going to share my screen here, and I can kind of walk through it. So um, this is a draft run by my friend David, and he has done a few of these. And so I wanted to hop in and go and do it with some people that I know, and also some other random people that I'm not as familiar with. So really my strategy, I only started playing Dynasty. I think I had one startup in the fall of 2021, one in like mid-season, and that was my first one. And so then after that, last off season, it's been pretty crazy, and I have a lot of leagues, and I think I've learned a lot. I joined the Bulletproof Discord, and it's just a very great learning space where people have debates and people kind of present some data and a lot of stuff that you can learn from, and I really can't recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. So my kind of strategy, which is also a very bulletproof Discord strategy, is usually I like to trade up for two elite quarterbacks when possible. It's not exclusively, but I would say almost everyone I've done this off season, pretty much I've tried to, and I think when it's with people that are like minded and thinking and come from the same Discord or have been around and played Dynasty for a long time, it's kind of hard to do that sometimes because they want a big asking price because they want the most valuable assets in Dynasty. But so I had the 111, which honestly I don't think there's really a bad spot in the first round, like especially with third round reversal. I don't really think there's any bad spots. So I got the 111. So I could have sat at the 111 and 202 and taken probably two of the elite quarterbacks. It looks like Dak fell, which is pretty typical. People are pretty low on Dak this offseason. Just kind of narrative-based things. And I do think I'm a little bit worried about the offensive coordinator situation with Kellen Moore leaving. But, I mean, you can go either way on Dak. Like, I think he's kind of fancy Kirk Cousins, like people in the Bulletproof Discord say. He's not really a runner anymore, so he doesn't really add very much points with his feet. But I still think he's a pretty solid asset. He's not really going to drop in startup value very much. And I think once he's scoring points in the season, he'll probably shoot up back to end of the first round, but right now he goes, depending on the sharpness of the draft, he could fall to the end of the second. So usually I could have sat, but I really like to try to get two of like the guys in that tier, two tiers above. I would say the first tier would be Allen, Mahomes, then Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence, and Jackson. And I guess Fields, I'm not a Fields guy at all. I just don't – I think it's just that he's not a great investment. It's not that I don't think he's a good player or that he's going to make a leap, which I think he will. But I just think when you have guys that have already proven it and done it, that it's not worth this. The Fields goes pretty high in a lot of startups that I do, above – Lamar, above Trevor Lawrence sometimes. I've even seen him go above Herbert, which is crazy to me. Even though Herbert isn't a runner per se, I still think Herbert is a very, very good passer. And I think he kind of has a little bit of the like Joe Burrow, kind of Trevor Lawrence, where they can still add something with their legs. So here I traded, I believe it was my second, my fifth, and I think it was my ninth. No, I think it was my seventh, which usually I don't like to trade my seventh. I try to go for eighth or ninth, but for the tier of Jalen Hurts or above Mahomes, Allen, and Jalen Hurts, I think it's fine. Like it's not something that I like. It's a little expensive, but I don't think you can really overpay for those guys. So I traded up for Hurts. And then I was thinking about trading back from 111 and also trading up to get Chase just to switch things up for portfolio reasons. But I just stuck with Watson. I'm pretty high on Watson from a football sense, obviously not a personal sense. But I think the market is really underrating all of Cleveland just because obviously with Watson coming back late in the season, and just whatever, it's mid-season. So I don't think it's really a good indicator of how I think he's going to bounce back. Like, you're not that good at football and then just lose it. Like, he's always been amazing in college and in the NFL before all this happened. So while there was growing pains the last, 6 weeks of the season, I'm not too worried. And I think they're all big buys. Njoku, Amari Cooper. I'm not a Chubb guy, but I think he's fine. Like he's old, but he's still going to score. So whatever. And then I am notedly a big Mark Andrews stan. And I also am a big Pitts guy as well. I have 44%, or I think it's maybe down now to 40% Andrews. And I think I have around 30% Pitts. So I think I could have went Pitts there or Andrews, but just for portfolio reasons, I just wanted to switch it up, even though it hurts my soul to do so because I am a tight end truther, especially the elite guys. But so yeah, that's usually my main strategy is to trade up for 2 elite quarterbacks. Whatever you decide was elite, that's up to you. But I consider Watson elite. And then here I went Jonathan Taylor. I think I have 1 or 2 shares of him. I think he's undervalued right now, especially like at the 3-2. I think he's not like a CMC, but no one's really a CMC at this point. And just with the market right now at running back, like I think he's a pretty good bet for 20 plus points per game. And I don't think you can really be mad at that, especially at 3-2. So I think he'll hold his value pretty well and he should score some points. At 4-4, I actually traded up from 4-11, which I kind of regret because in most drafts I'm in, all these elite vets, Tyreek Hill, Diggs, and Adams, Adams usually falls. Kupp usually, it's hit or miss, but he usually goes, I would say, early 4th. I've seen him fall a little bit. Adams is the one that usually falls, but I just thought because of this draft room and because I usually that's where they go, that I wanted to not miss that tier just because I'm kind of win now with Taylor. And so I don't know, like I regret it because I didn't give up that much. I think it was a second, a 2-3 swap, and then I moved back 5 or 6 spots in the 9th. So it's not crazy. But I think Kupp ended up falling to 5-2, and so I would have been able to get Kupp. So I see them all really the same. I guess if I had to choose, I'd probably go Tyreek Hill and then Diggs and then Kupp and then Adams, I guess, but they're all pretty much the same. So yeah, and then I didn't have a 5th round pick. I don't usually pick in the 5th round. I usually trade that pick to trade up. I think it's just kind of all after, I would say, yeah, Kupp and Jacobs. And I guess Watson, you could say, is kind of like a tier of his own there. But after that, I don't really care for like the 5th round and 6th round and 7th round are all pretty much the same to me. I would say once you get past like Amari Cooper, and I really like Calvin Ridley, so I would take him way earlier, and I did here, but he sometimes falls. Like I guess Deontay would be like kind of like the end of where those are the guys that I really, really want. Once you get into the Keenan Allens and the Mike Williams, it's kind of not great. I mean, I think they're both fine bets for like 15 points a game. Keenan Allen could obviously die at any moment because he's 31 years old, and Mike Williams always gets hurt, but they are tied to Justin Herbert, so they're fine. They're you need guys to fill your flex, so yeah, they're good. So yeah, my next draft pick was I traded up from 6'11 to 6'7. I really traded up 2 threes, which I kind of treat threes like I don't really care about them. I will use them just as trade fodder, especially in a startup. Because I mean, I try to keep my first. Here, I traded it for. I traded it for Hurts, which, like, once again, I don't try not to do it, but when I need to do it, that's when I'll do it. Is either for Pitts, Andrews, or one of the elite tight ends. I will sleep happy at night doing that. So yeah, traded up to 6'7". Debo, I think his ADP is around 5'8", like late 5th round. But like I said, like all these guys, I think he was around 13 points per game last year. But it's like I don't really trust him in the San Francisco offense with CMC there. Like without CMC, I can see him kind of in the wide back role, kind of getting some carries, getting some catches, and he's going to break long plays and have good efficiency. But with CMC there, I just feel like he's not that special. And I think I don't believe in injury proneness, but I do think he is a little bit more injury prone than other people, just going back to college and going back, I think all the way to like, I think it was high school too. But yeah, I've heard people talk that he's had injuries for a long time. So I'm not an injury-prone guy. Like I was drafting CMC last year. I drafted him in my home redraft league. But yeah, I picked Goddard, which I really consider Goddard. I think he's obviously behind Andrews and Kelsey and Pitts, but I kind of the tier after that of the Hawkinson and Kittle and Goddard and even Freiermuth to a little like same extent. I would say Freiermuth is maybe slightly behind those three, but Hawk, Kittle, and Goddard, I think honestly I kind of like Goddard the most. I guess obviously the passing offense is a lot better, and that's kind of I got him really cheap last offseason in like the 10th or 11th round a lot, but I think because he got hurt mid-season, I think kind of the recency bias on him is, and he didn't super blow up in the playoffs or anything. He had really good yards per route run numbers, and I just think you watch him play as well. He's just very, very good. And it's not anything against Hawkinson or Kittle, but I just think he's the best mix of like talent and situation. Hawkinson, I mean, I just think he's kind of just a guy. Like I think you can draft Freiermuth in the 7th round and Hawk is going in the 4th round, and there's really no difference at all. So I don't think I have any Hawk. Kittle, I guess you could say I think he's more talented than Goddard, although I do think it's closer than people think or consider, like in the general public. But I think just when San Francisco, I know too many mouths to feed is not something that I usually go by, but when the passing volume is so low and also with the quarterback uncertainty, I think he did really well with Purdy. But I mean, I'm a Lance truther, but I still don't think he's going to pass a ton. I think for Lance, I like Lance, but for the options in San Francisco, I don't love. So taking a long time here, but just fun to talk through kind of some startup strategy. So yeah, my next pick was 7-2, which is just my normal slot. I'm really high on Calvin Ridley. I just think people are still just cautious because he had so much time off, but like Watson, like I just think he's so talented, and he's tied with Trevor Lawrence, and he was really good, and he didn't have any injuries or anything. So I don't see any reason why he's not going to go back to at least minimum like 16 points a game. So I don't think that's a pretty low floor, and I think he could be competing with the Diggs and the Tyreek Hills, maybe not that level, but like right under there with Trevor Lawrence. Because I mean, Zay Jones and Evan Engram had very good seasons, and so he's much more talented than them. So I'm going to bet on the talent with that and just let it ride, because I think I saw I think it's like between Zay Jones and Marvin Jones, I think there was like 200 targets. So I'm not worried about, I think it's around 600 pass attempts for Trevor Lawrence, give or take. And if you pencil in like a 25% target share, like that's 150 targets. So I still think that's pretty, I don't think that's that like outrageous to think that could happen. So yeah, I'm going to bet on the talent with Ridley, and then didn't have another pick until 8-11. I kind of regret not taking Geno Smith there. I think just from a market perspective, that's past his ADP, and so probably should have taken him and tried to pawn him off later on. But I recently have just been really in the win now mindset, especially with how this team is constructed. So I'll take Keenan Allen and his 15, 16, 17 points per game and just ride it into the sunset. If he dies, he dies. But I can live with it, and whatever. I'll backfill it if I need to with some Jacoby Myers or something in the later rounds. Then I had traded back from 9-2 to 9-9 in that trade up for Tyreek Hill. So it's all kind of a flat tier, so it doesn't really matter anyways. It was a 2-3 swap. So I guess it's not as bad as it looks, but I still would have just waited and just not made a move if I could have. At 9-9, I was between I guess I'm still in a still in this draft, so shouldn't reveal myself too much, but I guess whatever. We're on stream, so we will do it. But I was between David Montgomery and Mike Williams. Mike Williams, like I said, he's kind of, you can pick and choose between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I think they're pretty much the same. Obviously, Keenan Allen's older. Mike Williams always gets hurt, so whatever. But they're pretty much, even if they draft a rookie, I still feel like they're pretty good bets for like 15 points a game. So, but I went David Montgomery just because I think he's going to shoot up during redraft season. I just think like Mike Clay is going to put out some projections, or Swift will tweak his ankle in camp or something, and I think the casual drafter will really feed into that David Montgomery hype. So I think he'll probably shoot up to, I don't know how high he can really go, but maybe like at least a couple rounds, I think he could shoot up. So just from a market perspective, I just want to make that bet. And if I want to trade him later on for a wide receiver, I'll be able to trade him for Mike Williams or someone that is, they're all kind of the same from that range. So yeah, not too worried about that. So yeah, I'll be looking to fill out my flex the next couple rounds with some wide receivers. I have some guys that I really like in that range. So yeah, and then after around the 12th or 13th, for me, I'm exclusively running backs and tight end flyers and quarterbacks. I won't really draft any receivers. I only usually roster like, I would say at most like 8, and unless it's like a weird team where I kind of get boxed out and I have to draft some Curtis Samuels or something like that in the 15th, 16th round. You'll be surprised. Sometimes the guys will fall, some older, like some Tyler Boyds or some, I guess Adam Thielen isn't a good example, but even Adam Thielen, like if you need just someone to fill your flex, like he can do it. It's not gonna look pretty, but if he gives you 10 points a game, like I don't think that's out of the picture, and that's usable. It's not amazing, but it'll keep going if you really need it. So sometimes you need that, but yeah, just running backs. That's the other trepidation I had with 9-9 going DeMont is I really really like to go 0 RB, and or 0 RB or hero RB, usually hero RB, but I just don't like the cost of any of these running backs right now. I think they are all, just because with so much uncertainty, like even guys that I really like and like Pollard and Ramondre, like they could get someone in the draft or in free agency. Like Kareem Hunt could sign with the Patriots and like just take the third down role a little bit and some carries away, and it would just lower his upside a little bit. So I still am into those guys at cost, but it's just a little scary just because we still have so much time into the season. So I would kind of just advise to wait and just hold. And if you need to buy someone like right before the season and it's more clear, then you can do that. But I kind of have to hold back sometimes because I'm usually very comfortable going 0 RB and like pushing it. Like I've had a few drafts where I don't draft my first running back until the like 11th, 12th round. I think one draft I did like the 13th round. Like I'm pretty comfortable doing that because in Dynasty, it's like even in redraft you can do that, but in Dynasty, because you can draft like 15 running backs, like I have the grossest running back rooms on the planet on my Dynasty rosters. Like they are nasty as hell. But at the end of the day, like someone is going to get hurt. Someone is going to, whatever, some situation is going to arise. And if you have 15 guys, one of them is like, you're going to be able to start 2 of them. Like they might not be amazing. They're not going to be world breakers, but they will give you points to fill your running back positions. And if you're strong at all the other positions, like I said, like 2 elite quarterbacks, elite tight end, and even if like I love old receivers now, I'm turning into a boomer, but old receivers that are just going to give you 15-ish points a game until they die, and then you can figure out running back later on. So here I went Taylor. Like I think he's one of the guys that can truly be difference maker, not a CMC level difference maker, but yeah, I'm fine with doing that in the right room. I think one of the biggest takeaways is just always just take what's given to you. Don't force anything. So like that's kind of why the Tyreek Hill move, I regretted a little bit because that was kind of like, oh shit, I got scared and I want to trade up a little bit. So I'll usually do that like if it's like the end of a tier and I'm going to get boxed out. And that's kind of what I was thinking here, but it ended up not happening. So it wasn't huge like capital to move up to a 2-3 swap and a few picks in the 9th isn't crazy, especially because I'll be like, obviously this is a competing team, so it's a 2nd round pick. It's you don't want to think about it like, oh, it's probably going to be a late round pick, but I mean, if it's middle, it's still, I don't really care that much. It's not going to make that much of a difference to my team, to me. So I don't love to trade my picks, but if it's for difference makers, I'll do it. I'll live with it. So that's kind of it for Dynasty. If there's anyone wants to ask any questions or anything in the chat, go ahead. But I'm gonna exit out of Sleeper and we can start up a draft. So yeah, I'm not really a Superflex underdog guy, but I think it's still fun. It's still good to kind of get the juices flowing, kind of keep up with the ADP trends. And it's weird though, because some of the ADPs are different from the regular big board, which doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know why that is. Obviously there'll be a little bit of difference, but like some guys that like were going 5 picks before other guys, now they're flipped or whatever. So it just doesn't really make sense. I've watched a lot of guys talk about how if you don't get an early, like I guess I would consider Lamar in like the elites, but some people are just scared off. But if he sits out, it's a tournament. So, and I'm not doing very many of these Superflex tournaments. So whatever, just YOLO it. You might as well go for upsides. But if you don't get one of those top like 7 guys, I guess you could include T-Law and Watson if you wanted to. But they really don't have the same upside as Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, even Fields or Burrow. So if you're in the back, you kind of want to punt quarterback a little bit. You don't want to punt it too much, but I think there's a lot of like since it's best ball, I think you can kind of get away with some things. So yeah, I think what I like to do is kind of go one like of a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then also grab one of the quarterbacks that as long as it's like, I would say after Dak, I'm not a 2 guy whatsoever. I don't think I have any shares. So yeah, I guess up until Dak, like if I can get one elite positional player and one quarterback, I'm fine with that. But otherwise, yeah, like I think otherwise it's like none of those guys are really like, you're not going to be able to compete with a Josh Allen team that gets another pretty good positional player, elite positional player, maybe not as elite, but so you're not going to beat him at their own game. So you might as well kind of punt quarterback a little bit. Like if you want to go anchor, you can do anchor, but you're fighting an uphill battle and you're not really going to win if you have the same structure as someone that has Josh Allen and you have Tua. Like it's just not going to work. You're not going to be able to make that up. So you might as well try to make it up with other positions and just have the most badass group of running backs and wide receivers and tight ends. And then just try to survive at quarterback and hope you have a guy that can still give you some spike weeks in week 17, and just you got to get lucky to win anyways. So there's only one winner, and so you might as well shoot for the moon. So I think that's a big thing that people miss with yeah, Paul said if I'm late, I'm punting QB to like the 5th, 6th. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of good options in the 5th and 6th. I don't know if anyone's in here with me, but I really like Anthony Richardson from a best ball perspective, especially Superflex, because yeah, like I said, you're shooting for the moon. Like there's no point, and I don't think there's any point in drafting. Like I guess Tua has weekly upside, but I still don't think like there's a chance he could get hit and just be done with football. I played football, and like I know a lot of guys that just were completely fucked up from concussion. So I think it's always a dangerous game. So it looks like we pulled the influencer 103. Paul is in every draft, so I'm not surprised. Pulled the 103, and it looks like Josh Allen falls to me. So that's pretty lucky. I will definitely take Josh Allen at 103 because I think I probably would have taken him at. I guess I probably would have went Mahomes 101, but I don't think you can really go wrong with those first 3 picks. I think just pick your poison, and so yeah, it looks like Herbert goes Fields. That's weird. I've never seen. Maybe it's because of the Hurts extension today that people he's getting steamed up a little bit. I mean, and honestly, I think you could, like I said, you can make a case for Hurts number one. Like he averaged 25 points a game, and well, I guess I'm used to 6-point passing touchdown, whatever, but whatever, 20 something points a game, 23 points a game, and 4-point or whatever. And obviously the rushing, and Mahomes is such a good passer that it doesn't really matter. Allen obviously does both at an elite level. So I think Hurts is really, especially with the extension, I think he's really he's really locked in, which is like in my dynasty draft. I'm willing to trade up for him. It's kind of I'm fine with it. Like if you get 23 points a game or 25 points a game, like that's just setting you up so well, whether it's best ball or in dynasty. It's really you're set. You're kind of set, and especially if you in dynasty if you tie it with another even look if you draft Kyler in the second round. Obviously, you're not going to have him probably next year. I think I'm pretty not. I don't think he's going to do great next year. I think they're probably just going to punt next year for the Cardinals. But so I was inverted. He went with Tyreek and Kupp. So like I'm saying, he's punting quarterback. And I think that's the move. I think Tyreek and Kupp, between 2 weeks, you could get 80 points if they both hit the same week. So yeah. Ryan, what's up? Big dog. I don't know who you are, but thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a good time. We were talking through a little bit of Dynasty earlier, so maybe I can, after the draft, go back over it a little bit, not as at length as I did before. But yeah, I'm definitely not an expert, but I'm just someone that I played football through college. I love fantasy football. I love the analytical side. I work in advertising, so it's not like an analytical job per se, but I do a lot of analytical work. And it's just fun. I think it's a good riddle to try to solve for both best ball and dynasty. And they're obviously different, but there's a lot of principles that you can use across both of them. So it looks like I'm going to be on the clock soon. So I struggle with the Diggs Allen stack. I do think it's I'm probably going to go Diggs Allen, but I do think it might be such a common combo that, you know what, I'm just going to say screw it and take AJ Brown. I just think obviously you want stacking, and I do advocate for stacking, but I think one of the things that I don't know, it just bothers me is that I just feel like early on, especially in a tournament that is this short, it's like there's going to be so many Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs stacks. It's like you're really not. Obviously, you can be unique with the rest of your draft, and it's still good to have those guys. I don't know. I might have fucked up there. I don't know. Clown me in the chat if I did, but I don't know. I feel like it's like I'd rather just switch it up, and I can still stack later on, and it's not gonna kill me. I think you like I said, you got to shoot for the moon. You got to just only one person can win. So I think there's just going to be so many stacks of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I don't have a. It's just a gut feeling, but we'll see. Maybe Stephon Diggs will fall to me. Also, I'm probably going to punt QB 2 and 3, like Paul was saying. I think it's just when you have Josh Allen, you already have such an advantage that there's not really a point. So there you go. Okay, well, I didn't draft Diggs, and then he fell to me. So if he does fall to me, and then I'll do it, because then I have AJ Brown, who can kind of differentiate me a little bit. I'm not as in tune with these drafts as I am with the normal like big board and normal drafts, just because I haven't really been doing them. But I'm assuming that's pretty unique, because Diggs goes 20, around 20, and this is 27. So I think kind of me passing on him there is probably why he fell, because no one wanted. It's not the stack. So I think it's good to kind of think counterintuitively with some of this drafting sometimes, because I just think you do want to have some, like if I was drafting 100 of these or 100, whatever, I don't know, 150 of these, then that's broke at the state. Yeah. Yeah, like I think if you're drafting 150 of these, and yeah, you still want Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs stack, so you want some of that. But if you take it every time it's there, it's just like, what do you really? You just have a bunch of the same teams, and it's not unique at all. So if you get to week 16, 15, 16, 17, and you don't, whatever, like just if they have a bad game, you're screwed. So. And everyone else is going to have them too, because it's not like it's hard. Everyone's going to have the same stack. So yeah, I'll stop talking about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, but let's pull the board back up. I'll try to be better. I'm a new streamer, so I'm not quick to go back to the grid view, but let's see what else is going on. I think it's interesting that CeeDee Lamb, I think you can make a case for CeeDee Lamb above Adams and Diggs. I think I wasn't a CeeDee Lamb guy at all, but I think he kind of just proved himself to be very, very good. And there's always a chance that I would say Diggs has a very low chance of hitting the wall, and I don't think Adams has a good chance of hitting the wall either, or the age cliff. But I do think, like, obviously they're older, and I think it's just a little bit more risk. And I mean, yeah, I think just Lamb is very, very good. And I think he's going to give you, I think he could push for 20 points a game this year. So that's, you can't really, there's no bad choice there, but I wouldn't fault you for taking CeeDee Lamb over those two guys. I think Kupp, I still think is like, he just was so good last year when he was playing, and with Stafford back, I think it's hard to bet against Kupp. I think that's another thing that I've learned in my short time in Dynasty is like overvaluing young players that don't score. I think a lot of people on Twitter and whatever, like in the fantasy space on YouTube and everything, like they fall in love with the profiles, and they fall in love with the draft cycle, and they fall in love with, this guy looks cool and he has an advisor and he's young and he's posting TikToks and stuff. But I just think like these older guys I'm turning into a boomer, but I just think these older guys are always undervalued. Like Brandon Cooks in Dynasty and in this, like he's functionally no different than Tyler Lockett, who's going in, I don't know in this, but like in the regular big board, he's going pick in the mid 50s. And he's going, I think he's sneaking up a little bit, but like before he got signed with the Cowboys, he was a huge value. Even now, I still think he's a value, because he's going to give you wide receiver 2 production. So for very cheap. And I think he can still give you spike weeks, honestly. So, all right. So Paul said, do you think the Dallas offense takes a step back with Schottenheimer at offensive coordinator? I do, but I mean, I do think they're going to take a step back, but I don't think it's going to be a huge step back from I still think, obviously, they've been a very, very good offense. Okay, I'm on the clock, so I'll finish after this. So we got AJ Brown. You know what? I think I'm going to go Devonta Smith and just build a little. We don't have Jalen Hurts, but just take a bet on the Eagles. I think their defense is going to be worse. I think they're going to have to score a lot of points to make up for their defense because it's going to be pretty bad. Not that bad, but like whatever, between 15th and 20th in the league. So yeah, and then in the playoffs in week 15 through 17, if AJ Brown, whatever, gets hurt or AJ Brown has a good game and then Devonta Smith, they can ping pong back and forth. And so while I don't have Hurts, I do think it's a good, it's kind of a good little correlation there. So I don't think anyone else is in the chat. We only have 4 people here. So I feel like I'm just used to people saying don't want to reveal their picks, but I know Paul is not near me in the draft, so we're fine. But I would consider ETN here, I think, because RB is a little bit more valuable in this format with one less wide receiver spot. But we'll see what comes up here. I think if you know me, like I was saying earlier, I'm a huge Mark Andrews stan. I don't think I can't take Najee. I can't take an injured Kyler who might not play all year. I can't take Debo, who he's better in best ball, but I already have 3 wide receivers. So I think I'm going to go Mark Andrews here and just lock up elite tight end. Then I don't really have to worry about it. I can go 2 tight ends. I'm not a big 3 tight ends guy. I understand the rationale behind it in the 20-round format, but if you have one of these guys, I just think you have to ride with it. You don't want like a 20th round pick as your second quarterback, as your second tight end, but as long as you have like even like a Noah Fant or something like that, like Noah Fant can put up 20 points in a game. Like I know he had a bad season last year, but I think he's very talented. And I mean, maybe the Seahawks just aren't dumb and they actually play him more this year. So yeah, the Hurts manager does hate me. He probably hates my guts, but maybe he doesn't know what he's doing, so whatever. Maybe he doesn't even know. Maybe he's just whatever. Sorry, I'll go back to Paul's question. Yeah, I do think they do take a step back, but they were like, I think they were in scoring offense. I think they were like in the top 3 or top 5 for the last few years with Kellen Moore. So yes, it's going to go down, but even if they're 12th or something, like they're still going to be a good offense. Like Dak Prescott, while people hate him, I think in real life as a quarterback, like he's not obviously Mahomes or anything like that, but he's still a very good quarterback. He's still going to throw for probably at minimum 4,500 yards. And who knows, maybe he runs a little tiny bit more. I mean, he's 29 and obviously he was hurt. And so it's been a few years, but I don't think it's out of the picture. Like he still has some rushing upside. I think a little bit more than people give him credit for, even though it's been a few years. They still, I'm very high on Pollard. I think they probably don't draft anyone, but you never know with their ownership. But with Jerry, yeah, Brandon Cooks, like I was talking about, I think he's a very solid wide receiver too. And tight end, they might take one in the first or second round. Their offensive line is fine. Like I don't think it's terrible. So yeah, I think they will regress, but don't think it's really going to matter for CD at least, like maybe a little bit, but I just think he's still young and he's still ascending. I think he's 23, turning 24. So it's not really that big of a deal. I'll deal with it. Especially when you consider he's still on the upwards trajectory of his career, while Diggs and Adams, obviously they're still elite and they're probably still going to be elite, but they have a higher chance of going off the cliff than CeeDee Lamb does because he's 23. So Paul, I was inverted. He went Hill, Cup, Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Mike Williams, and Calvin Ridley. So I really like that start. I know, like we said, punting quarterback from the late spots. I think that's a very good team from the 12th spot. You have a lot of spike week guys, and like I said, I'm high on Calvin Ridley. I was considering Mike Williams over David Montgomery in my dynasty draft. So I think all those guys can give you a lot of spike weeks. Any of those guys can go for 30 any week. So in best ball, that's really what you're looking for. So Breece Hall, I think I'm pretty optimistic on his recovery. Obviously, we haven't really heard much, but I think we've heard it's been going well. So yeah, I mean, I think you lock in an RB spot. I mean, the thing with 20 rounds is you can draft a lot of running backs, or at least 5 or 6, and so you can make up a couple weeks if he does miss some time. So, and then Aaron Rodgers, I think he's fine there. Like, I think he's probably going to be pretty good with the Jets when he finally does end up there. So, okay, I'm on the clock. I'm not really into any of the running backs at this point because we're only at. I could go Miles Sanders, but I think I'm just going to go Drake London. I'm not a big DJ Moore guy. I'm still bearish on the Bears. I guess that's no pun intended. Even if they get to 30 pass attempts a game, I just still think it's such a meh offense and meh situation. Like, unless they take a huge leap and go and get like 32, 33, 34 pass attempts a game. I mean, I think whatever he could be good. His talent could show out. He could, the offense could positively regress. But I wouldn't bet on it. I don't know. Here we are at pick 74. I don't have a running back yet. Let's see what oh God, I'm getting real box out of quarterback. I think I'm just going to keep pushing. You know what? We were talking shit about David. Oh my God, I just got auto-drafted Dalvin Cook. That is horrendous. All right, well, first time streamer, you see what happens. So you know what? We'll live with it, and we'll move on. You know what? You can't do anything about it. You just got to move on. Not a great look. But I was gonna pick David Montgomery there. Yeah, so you know what? It's fine. I mean, I think obviously we will now that we do have at least one running back, we will probably punt it for a little bit. I'm not a big fan of these these dead zone RBs, although I do think like you can pick and choose your guys, and I do think you can make a case for a lot of them, but I'm not a huge fan. I'm either going to draft a running back or two in the first or second round in regular drafts and then wait until round 10, 11, 12, or I'm going to just go 0 RB, which I would like to do most of the time, depending on the draft room. So yeah, I mean, Dalvin Cook, I mean, who knows? He's going to get cut, so he could sign with the Bills. He could sign with a contending roster. So whatever. Maybe it's just variance. Maybe it'll actually not be that bad. I mean, he wasn't bad last year. And yeah, I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking myself into the Dalvin Cook pick. I'm still very tilted, but you never know. Whatever. Like, he could be fine. He still probably will give you decent production. Not that it's going to kill this team. So I'm not dead. Not dead yet. So let's see. My good friend David in the chat. How's it going, David? Would say it's likely that Atlanta passes more than Chicago, and would say London as a talent is greater than DJ Moore as a talent. So slight situation and talent. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm very much so Drake London over DJ Moore in any format you give me. As a former DJ Moore truther, it hurts me to say, and I know it hurts David as well, but he's not as talented, and the situation's not as good. Like David just said, it's just, I think people are really underestimating London because of the team situation there. Like, he was really, really good, especially the last part of the season. I know Pitts wasn't there, but I mean, if you can still support 2 pass catchers. Like there's no one else. It's really Mac Hollins and Olamide Zaccheaus, and it's not like there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. So, okay, so let's actually pay attention this time. All right, so Brock Purdy fell all the way. He's falling past ADP. We have Swift here. We have Pickens. I feel like I have to take a quarterback at this point. I mean, I guess I'm just going to go Brock Purdy. I'm not a Brock Purdy guy whatsoever, but I do think I want to play devil's advocate. I think that's a big part of that's a big part of playing fantasy football, is kind of challenging your own assumptions and challenging your own biases, which I think can be hard to do. So while I hate Brock Purdy, small cock Brock, I do think there's a chance he starts. I mean, I think you got to consider it, even if I would rather bet on the talent of Lance. The talk has been pretty negative around him. So play devil's advocate. Maybe Brock Purdy, starts and averages 20-ish points a game or something. And if I get him in the 8th round, that's pretty good value there. So we'll deal with it. And we have Josh Allen, so we don't need that much. We can draft maybe. I still think this is probably a 3 QB build, but we'll see. Swift. We have Hollywood. We have Mike Evans. I think I'm going to go. You know what? I think as much as it pains me, you know what? I'm going to push it. I'm going to go Hollywood. I was going to take Levis there. His ADP, I'm going to play the ADP game and hope he falls. But I as much as I think it's the same thing as Purdy. As much as I think Will Levis is gross as an actual NFL talent, I think we know so little about quarterback evaluation that, I mean, you just have to lean into it, and lean into the uncertainty, and he's probably starting games down the stretch. I mean, whatever team drafts him is probably bad, and they're probably going to say fuck it and throw him in there. And he can run. He's big. He has a strong arm. He's extremely inaccurate in college, but it's always I don't want to make the Josh Allen cop, so I'm not going to say it. But whatever. I don't think we know. Justin Herbert, everyone was down on. There's a lot of guys that we just don't know about quarterbacks. And if a team's willing to draft him in the top 5 or top 10 or whatever, top 12, I think you just gotta go with it. So we'll see what happens coming up. There's not too many quarterbacks left, so probably have to take one coming up. We'll see who falls, but I'm also very into Charbonnet. I'm into Tony and Treylon. I'd probably go Treylon over Tony, though. You know what? I would have to probably go Gabe Davis just for correlation's sake, because I don't have anything. Or no, I do. I have Diggs. So, okay, we'll see what happens. Paul is up right now. Let's see where he goes. He goes Charbonnet and Mayfield. So we'll see. Our Levis hopes are still alive at this point, but they may be dwindling. Tight end, I'm just going to punt. I don't really care. I am a big fan of Njoku and Freiermuth. If I hadn't gotten Andrews and I would have went a wide receiver or something there, or quarterback, then I would have considered those guys. Yes, David, I agree. I should probably go for the Davis stack. Quarterback, we have Levis. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some ship-chasing guys talking about just drafting a bunch of gross guys late, because, I mean, we really don't consider that a lot of quarterbacks start every season. A lot of guys get hurt. It's not like a running back position where guys get hurt at a super high frequency, but they do get hurt. So, I mean, yeah, Jacoby Brissett, I would honestly, I'm not a Sam Howell guy, so I honestly think Jacoby Brissett could start a lot of games. Minshew, if they draft a rookie, I mean, you never know. If it's Levis and he's just horrendous, then maybe they just go with Minshew if they're trying to push for a playoff spot. Mike White, Tua could have a concussion and be out of football. So, okay, so here we go. Let's see what we got here. I hate James Cook. I'm not a huge fan of Khalil Herbert. Damon Harris would be a nice correlation there, and Gabe Davis went. And I don't love any of these wide receivers. I don't think they're must-have-its at this point. So as gross it is, I think I'm going to go Will Levis. So I have a Brock Purdy and Will Levis. Quarterback room, definitely not something I would I pride myself on in a dynasty format. But in best ball, I do think, you can make cases for both of them as starting down the stretch in week 17 and giving you a 25-point week. And otherwise, we can just ride Josh Allen, and we have some pretty strong wide receivers. So if they need to fill the flex, we can probably make it happen. So not the obvious. Like I said, like quarterback gets really gross really quick in these formats, but you got to just make it work. You gotta make it work with what you got. So we should probably get some running backs. I would love Damien Harris here. I already have 5 wide receivers, so in this slightly diminished wide receiver importance in this format, I think I would probably go running back and go Harris there. But I think Bateman is fine. Michael Thomas, Quentin Johnson. I think all these guys are fine here. Zay Flowers. I have a bias against Zay Flowers. I don't know what it is. If he's just really small, if it's the Boston College unis, if it's everyone just kind of falling in love with him, I feel like to the uber extent, but not a huge Zay Flowers guy, but maybe I need to confront my Zay Flowers bias a little bit. So we only have one running back in this Dalvin Cook, so I think I'm going to go Harris here. While I don't think he is like some world breaker, I think he's a very good rusher, and in the half PPR format, I think he can still provide you with some 2 touchdown weeks, some 3 touchdown weeks. I also have Josh Allen, so they could kind of cannibalize each other. But that might not be a bad thing in a tournament format where they can kind of ping pong in the playoffs and give you maybe Damon Harris scores 3 touchdowns one week, and maybe then Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs scores 3 touchdowns the week after that. So I'm fine with it. I need some running backs, honestly. So yeah. So we're at the point where, let's see, the other running backs I like. Let's just star some guys so we have them in the queue. I don't mind Jacoby Brissett, although I kind of would like to do. I guess I think I kind of considering 4 quarterbacks, but I'm not married to it. Mike White. I think those are the 2 guys I really like. Minshew. Running back, I'm huge on Samaje Perine. I'm very high on Elijah Mitchell. I'm very high on Gibson. So I'll talk through a few of those. Ibanaconda, Mostert, this guy. Okay, so Samaje, I think I'm bearish on Javante's recovery timeline. So there he goes. But I honestly think Samaje could give you like high RB2 production, like at least mid RB2, middling RB2 production while Javante's gone, and we just don't know how long that's going to be. They could draft someone. He could get a little bit nuked, but I think he's a pretty good bet. I think he's pretty good. He can carry the load. He's like 240 pounds at 5'10", 5'9". He's very large. He can catch passes, which is you always want the fat boys at running back that can catch passes. So let's see. It looks like Gibson just went by Paul, of course, because he's a sharp. So he took Quentin Johnson and Antonio Gibson. Those are both guys I really like in that range. Elijah Mitchell, he's obviously a handcuff for CMC, but he also gives you some standalone value. Michael Thomas, he's gross, he's old, he's been hurt, but he could score 20 points a game, so fine with that. Like I said, I have a Zay Flowers bias, but I think he's a fine pick here. Izzy Abanaconda has been flying up boards because of his pro day, and he's pretty much as athletic as Bijan, but just obviously a way worse profile, of course. But he's also very young, so I'm not comparing him to Bijan at all, but athletically he is very good, and he's very young, so I think he's as good a bet as any of the kind of like middle range past Charbonnet of getting drafted day 2 or early day 3, and I think if that happens, I think he's fine. So I like him. Mostert and Wilson are basically the same. I think I would actually go Wilson over Mostert just because he's a little bit younger, but Mostert he played really very well last year. Roshan I very much like as well. Let's see who we got here. We don't really care about any of these tight ends except for Daddy Dulcich, but it's still too early. I need a running back. I'm going to go Mitchell. Gives me a little Purdy San Francisco correlation. Not really because he doesn't catch passes, but still a very good offense, so it's good to have pieces of it. Paul says Dane Brugler has Izzy going day 2 in his latest mock. Yeah, I think he was going a little bit under the radar for a while in the regular big board. He was going really late, and all the dynasty sickos, I'm sure, along with me, were drafting all the rookies as you should in that format. But yeah, he was going like in the 20th round, and I was scooping him up. So let's see. So we have Izzy. I could go a 4th quarterback here. I could go another wide receiver, but I already have 5 very good ones, so I'm not super jazzed about that. Probably leaning wide receiver. I think I'm probably leaning running back because I think just a lot of these wide receivers are kind of the same. What's the ADP here? 147, 149. I think I'm going to go, as much as it pains me, I think I'm going to go Jacoby. Oh, there you go. Got auto-picked. Okay, well, now we got 4 quarterbacks. I'm obviously very new, so bear with me. But you know what? I actually like that because I think with Purdy and Levis, they could not be starting. So it just gives us one more bullet in the gun, and we just need some QB2 production to go along with Josh Allen. So you know what? I actually don't hate it, and we have a lot of rounds left. We have 7 rounds, 6 rounds left to make it up at running back. We're set at pretty much at tight end. We'll need to take 1 late, and wide receiver we probably need to take 2 more. I'm of the mindset that if you take a lot of wide receivers early, especially this early, I took AJ Brown, Diggs, Devonta, London, and Hollywood. I think it's a pretty solid wide receiver room. So, I think I'm fine going with some late round guys that could give me a few spike weeks, but I'm not too worried about wide receiver. So I feel strong there. Tight end, I feel strong, obviously, with Mark Andrews, who we stand for life. Running back is a little weak, but like I said, we still have a lot of rounds left, so we're going to get a lot of shots on goal. And then quarterback, obviously, we have Josh Allen, and we have 3 guys that conceivably could start at some point in the season, or they could start the whole season, or they could suck and not start at all. So if it was one of those guys, okay, that's kind of sucks. But in best ball, if you have 3 of those guys, think they're fine. Jacoby Brissett actually was pretty good last year, and I think the Commanders really just I think they're going to give Sam Howell a shot, but I just don't know if he's that good. I don't know. I think he was a pretty good prospect, but he fell to the 5th round. So there's a reason he fell to the 5th round. And Brissett, while he's not sexy, he's not a sexy pick. I think he's solid. I think he's fine. And with McLaurin, with Dotson, they might draft a tight end. They have Gibson. Their O-line is pretty solid, so I think they could be fine. They have I'm blanking because I slept 4 hours last night, but they have Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City. So yeah, I mean, you don't know. It's an uncertain situation, and you want to lean into that. And I think obviously the Brissett pick was an auto pick, but I actually don't mind. I actually think it's good because we have a lot of rounds left with Superflex. A lot of these guys get pushed back where they would be going a lot earlier, so you can still get some good value on a lot of these guys. So some guys I'm eyeing now that I'm set at quarterback. I will take a few shots at wide receiver. So if there's someone that falls to me that I really like, I will take it. I'm going to need to take them probably soon. I don't mind Doubs. I don't mind Pierce. Running back in this range, I like Roshan. I like Kendrick. Pretty much rookies. I mean, obviously Zeke sucks. JJ Spears, he's a small boy. He's very electric, but I just struggle to see an NFL team giving him a full workload or a meaningful workload. So I'm not saying he can't do it, but I just wouldn't bet on it. Same with A-Chain. I'm just not an A-Chain guy. Singletary is small and slow. Patterson's old. I'm just roasting everyone, but Hunt I actually don't mind. Okay, I think I have to go. I think I'm going to go Roshan. I'm pretty high on Roshan. I think he obviously, like a lot of his like dominator rating and everything and all his like statistics aren't going to look great, but I think he's a pretty good running back. And obviously he's behind Bijan, but I think an NFL team he's kind of similar to Brian Robinson last year, where he's not amazing, but an NFL team will like him. He's big, he can catch passes. He was taking third downs away from Bijan. I mean, it's hard to see an NFL team, 1 out of the 30, not falling in love with him a little bit. So I think he's a pretty good value there. I think he could shoot up a little bit if he gets drafted early, and I think he's actually a sneaky bet to get drafted earlier than people think. So yeah, I like him. I think we should probably go wide receiver here. Tight end. I don't think there's really any point in taking Michael Mayer because there's a lot of tight ends that we can draft later that are similar. Although it gets pretty gross. It's a little bit grosser than I think it was before in the original big board. So let's see. Running back. I mean, yeah, I think I'm gonna go Jalen Hyatt. I don't love him as a prospect, but he is very fast and he could make some big plays and give me some spike weeks. And this late, that's all you're really looking for. So yeah, I am good with it. So let's see. Let's check in on Paul's team while we have a little break here. So we obviously said Mike Williams, Calvin Ridley, Godwin. So we started off very strong with wide receiver. That's 5 guys that could give you 30 points on any given week. Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers, a little jet stack there. Darren Waller, I think, is a pretty good value at tight end. I think obviously he was hurt, so the recency bias is kicking in there. But I think he could be right up there with with the elite guys, especially because Pitts is still such a projection in redraft. Obviously, in Dynasty, we love him and his profile, and he's going to hit eventually, but we don't know when it's going to hit. So Charbonnet, I love. I think he's just going to go day 2, and he's big and he can catch passes. Mayfield, I think, is sneaky a good pick there. QJ is polarizing, but I think he can give you spike weeks. He's big, he's fast. He can't catch, but who cares? Antonio Gibson is big and catches passes, so we like that. Jeff Wilson is on the Dolphins, and Mostert is made of glass, so he could be giving you some big weeks. And then Minshew. So yeah, he punted quarterback, but I think it's a pretty good punt quarterback team. He really got strong players at all the other positions, and I really like his running back room. I really like all of his spots right there. So good job, Paul. You're a true professional, and it's good to have you in here. So let's see. So yeah, I'm just going to star some guys. Like I said, I think now that I'm at 6, so I'm pretty much looking at. Obviously not quarterback. So yeah, he took Kendre, of course, and okay. So I'm looking at Kareem Hunt, Tank Bigsby, Sean Tucker, and I think Lenny is probably like. I'm just out on A-Chain. I just can't. My biases are too strong against A-Chain. I know he could be really good, but I'm not feeling it. And then wide receiver, I'm not a Nico Collins guy. I think they draft someone in the first round, and I think he's pretty much nuked at that point. Josh Downs, he's not great in this format because it's half PPR and there's one less wide receiver. I think he could be. I think he's a very good prospect. I think he could be good. We don't have. I think Marvin Mims, Curtis Samuel. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. None of these guys are super inspiring at this point. I think I'll probably. And then I do have to draft another tight end at some point. Trey McBride, Noah Fant, Jelani Woods, Darnell Washington, Sam Laporta. Pretty much rookies in second year, and Noah Fant, who is still a very good player and probably just was in a bad situation last year. So kind of like a Njoku bet where he's in a bad situation, but you just got to bet on the talent, and after a few years, he's going to hit. So let's see. We're at pick 190, so we have 4 rounds left. I think I'm going to go Sean Tucker. I think you can make a case for either Sean Tucker or Lenny there. I think Lenny is old and fat and gross, and he eats a lot of food, but he just still could be Lenny. Still just get some touchdowns, some high value touches, some catches, some dump offs from a contender, and he could be fine. So yeah, I think. And then Sean Tucker, he's had some weird injury stuff this draft cycle, but analytically he's looking very good. But it really just depends on where he falls in the draft. So yeah, Roshan and Sean Tucker. I think. Well, analytically, Sean Tucker looks a lot better on paper. I think Roshan actually has a better chance of going earlier. So we'll see. Could change. You never know. Just one team has to fall in love with him. But so Lenny's still on the board. We are at 5 running backs, 6 wide receivers. I think we're going to punt tight end because it looks like there's still guys that I'm fine taking as my number 2. We are at 6 wide receivers. I think I'm going to take Josh Downs here because wide receiver just gets so. I guess all these guys are pretty much the same, I guess, but I do think I do think Josh Downs is a very good prospect. He's really a slot-only player, but who knows? Maybe he goes through a good situation. Maybe he gets hot down the stretch. That's what you're betting on with rookies. So yeah, like I'm really, I think in all these big board drafts, you have to be targeting rookies. Obviously, like early on, they were even more of a value, but they're just unknowns and they could shoot up. Like you just don't know, and they usually score their points in the later like part of the season. They backload their points. So yeah, I think they're fine. They're really good bets. And Josh Downs probably will go round 2. He could sneak into round 1 if kind of like a wide receiver avalanche starts happening. So yeah, I think it's fine. I really like it. So yeah, I think we're probably done at wide receiver. I think we're definitely done at quarterback. So let's just start some RBs. I'm fine with Hubbard. I bet I was inverted. He has 5 running backs. He's probably going to take a wide receiver and a running back here, I would guess. Let's see. I like Chase Brown. Marvin Mims. Okay, that makes sense. David and I were talking about Marvin Mims. I think he's a very good prospect, and I think it just depends on where he goes in the draft. I think his range of where he could go is he could sneak into the top 50, and like I said, you only need one team to fall in love with you, and I think he has a very good profile and he's a very good player, or he could fall into the 3rd round, and then I probably don't want him at all. So yeah, we're draft capital truthers around here, and that is really what matters. So, and then Paul went Jelani Woods, which is one of the guys that I would have targeted later. So it's a good pick there. I think anytime you can pick the largest player in the NFL, it's good because he could catch some touchdown passes. What's up, Ben? How's it going? Thanks for joining. I probably will not be doing any streams up until. I mean, I could do one. I could do one this week, but it's probably going to close soon. But otherwise, I'll be doing some for BBM4. Definitely the first day or two, and then I'll probably stop for a little bit. I'll probably do some like on stream, but for the most part, I won't be doing it just because I don't kind of want to. Corain and Ship Chasing, they were talking about how, I mean, I think the first day, like you get so much ADP value, but let me continue after this. So yeah, we still need running backs and we still need tight ends. I think all these running backs are kind of similar, so I think I'm just going to go. I think I actually prefer Sam Laporta. No, let's go Darnell Washington. Maybe he's the biggest guy in the NFL. I still think Jelani is bigger technically, but so like I was saying, what was I saying? Are we doing another draft tonight? I mean, we only have 3 people in here, so we'll see. But I would kind of rather. I guess they were probably in here for talking about Dynasty, so I can recap it really quick. But I don't think so. I don't think so. I actually only slept like 4 hours last night, so I'm pretty fried, as you can tell by my auto clicking and me losing track of my thoughts. So, okay, so we're good at tight end. Running back. I know Chuba Hubbard has a higher ADP, but I think I actually prefer. Let's go Chuba. Let's go Chuba, and let's see if we can get. Yeah. Okay, so what we're looking like. I'll try some extra likes. Thank you, Ben. We appreciate the likes. Okay, so quarterback, we got Josh Allen. who fell to us at 3, which is great. We got Brock Purdy, who fell, and I'm not a fan of, but I think we got to challenge our biases as well with Will Levis. I really like Jacoby Brissett. I think he can start a lot of games for Washington this year because I don't trust in Sam Howell. And we auto-picked Dalvin Cook, which is not great. We wanted David Montgomery there, but I think he could be fine. He could give you some big weeks. Damian Harris, a little bit of correlation with Buffalo. Elijah Mitchell, a little bit of correlation with Brock Purdy there. Roschon and Sean Tucker, some rookies who could be good values. And then Chuba, who isn't great, but he's number 2 behind Miles Sanders, and he actually wasn't terrible last year in his opportunities that he had. Wide receiver, we want A.J. Brown first to kind of give us some differentiation. But then Diggs fell to us all the way at 27, so it worked out very well there because we pushed it. Then we got Devonta Smith to get a little correlation with A.J. Brown, which could be very unique actually without Jalen Hurts. So that actually worked out pretty well. And then Drake London, who we were talking about in the chat, definitely has a lot of upside just because of his profile and because of the passing volume that could increase there in Atlanta. Hollywood Brown is Hollywood Brown. He's a baller, and he's could be the number 1, probably is the number 1. Even if it's a really bad quarterback, he's still probably going to get peppered by targets on a bad team. So I'm all about it. I will always draft Marquise Brown. He's always a value. Jalen Hyatt, don't love the profile in Dynasty, but in Best Ball, I'm fine with it. I think he can score some long touchdowns. He's a field stretcher, so it's fine. And then Josh Downs, also, I really like him in Dynasty, even in PPR, but not as much in half PPR and in Best Ball, but still think he's really good. And I think he could, same thing, like you want to bet on the rookies and those profiles. So, and then tight end, we have our one true king, Mark Andrews, like you saw in the thumbnail. I have 40. I think it's now. I didn't draft him in my last Dynasty startup, so I think I have 40%, but it's still very high, which I should probably get less of, but it hurts me every time I don't draft him. So, and then we got Darnell Washington. So let's see. Let's see some guys we could. So I could go third tight end. I only have 6 running backs, and they are not great. So I think I'm going to opt for the running back, and I believe the one that I would most like to take is Chase Brown. I think so. Yeah, I think all these 3 rookie running backs, we don't know where they're going to go until the draft, and they could go 2nd round and they could go 5th round. I mean, I think they probably won't. Well, Chase Brown could go 5th round, and Sean Tucker could go 5th round. Roschon, I don't think he will go 5th round. I guess maybe I'm being a little bit optimistic. But yeah, basically what we're saying is that we don't know who it's going to be, but even if it's one of the 3, it kind of pays off. So yeah, that is the team. I don't think I'm going to do another one, but I will go over my Dynasty team really quick. 1 second. Let me just pull it up. So yeah, I hope you guys had a good time. I will definitely do these. I will if you guys want to put on the notification bell so that if I do go live, because I don't know, I'm assuming it's from Discord, but I don't know where you guys found me. But yeah, let me pull it up really quick. I will go through it quickly, and then I will call it a night. Paul, it's good. I always see you in all the streams, and I think you're a very good best ball mind. So it's great to see you joining, and I really appreciate it. I'm a big I've been I've seen you in streams and stuff for years since 2020. So it's good to see you. Alrighty. Yeah, Ben. I will be talking. This is my first stream ever, but I will be doing some Dynasty content, a lot of best ball streams. I'll try to. I mean, like weeknights. I don't have much going on in nighttime. So yeah, probably like. Or lunchtime or late at night. So yeah. So let me pull up this team really quick. I will talk through it. Ben, I'm not sure if you are into Dynasty, but I will talk through it a little bit. So yeah, this is a Superflex tight end premium, 0.5 tight end premium, start 11, and so yeah, obviously Superflex. So quarterback is very important. I traded up for Jalen Hurts, and I used my future first, second, and fifth. So it's a little bit more than I would like to trade up most of the time. But for Hurts, he just got that extension today, which I think gives him even more security. We knew it was coming, but he can give you 25 points a game. I don't know, in this format, I think it's a 5-point passing touchdown. So it's a little bit less, but whatever. 23 points a game, whatever. He's contender for number one quarterback every year. Then we're up at 111. I'm very high on Deshaun Watson. I think he can be elite again, and I'm pretty sure he will be. So I'm betting on the bounce back. I traded my second round pick. I'm very happy to do that. I probably would have been eyeing Dak in this range or trading back. Then we're up at 3-2. I usually go elite tight end. Like I said, I'm a Mark Andrews stan. I'm a Kyle Pitts stan. I'm a Kelsey stan. All these elite tight ends, preferably Andrews, because he's the best combination of production, and he's not super, super old. I think he's going to turn 28 during the season. You can't have too much Kyle Pitts, I don't think, really. So draft him there all the time. I have 30%, so I don't know if that's too much. But I just wanted to switch it up. And I just wanted to go super, super win now. And so I drafted Taylor there. I think he's a good bet for 20 points a game. And I think he is a good value there. I think obviously he was a dynasty RB1, and then he had a really bad season. So I think the recency bias is really there. Even with a rookie quarterback, they'll probably get a lot of carries. He'll catch a decent amount of dump offs. And yeah, I think he's he's probably RB3 or RB2. You can make a case for him or Breece Hall, probably Breece Hall, but just with the receiving upside. But he is coming off an ACL. So yeah, Jonathan Taylor. And then I traded up from 411 to 44 using a 2-3 swap and a move back from 9.2 to 9.9. So it's all pretty much the same here. So it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And I thought I was going to get boxed out at elite vet wide receiver, which are like Tyreek Hill, Diggs, Adams, and Kupp. But I didn't, so I could have drafted Kupp because he fell all the way to 5.2. So traded up for nothing really. But I mean, I do prefer Hill to Kupp slightly, but they're basically the same. But it worked out fine. I'm fine with Tyreek. Then no 5th round pick because I traded it in the trade for Hurts. So I had the 6'11". I traded 2 3s to move up for Goddard just because, like I said, I'm a big tight end guy. And while if I'm not getting the top 3 of Andrews, Pitts, Kelsey, I like to get Goddard, or Fryermuth, but I actually prefer Goddard out of the Hawkinson, Kittle, Goddard second tier there. So, and he goes much later. So I'm happy to trade up slightly to get him and secure that. I could have went Muth also. I just feel a little safer with the Goddard. I don't know. Yes, it is. It's 0.5 tight end premium. So tight ends are even more important, especially the elite ones. So that's why I have 40% Mark Andrews. I went Ridley at 7.2. I think he's a good bet for like minimum 16 points a game. I'm not really worried about him coming back. He wasn't coming off an injury. He was coming off a betting suspension. So he's turning 29, but I think he's just so skilled and so technical. And I mean, that's a little bit of a film grinder take, but I feel like he's going to be fine. He's playing with Trevor Lawrence, who's ascending. He looked amazing last year. He led Zay Jones to like 200 PPR points and Marvin Jones, and they had 100 targets between the two of them. So I think there's plenty of room for Ridley, and he's clearly the most talented guy in that room. So yeah, I think he's a very good value or is where he's going. Back up at 8.11, and I got Keenan Allen. I kind of regret not taking Geno Smith there just from a market perspective because, yeah, like I would trade up first for Geno Smith. Like if I was in a pinch and I needed a quarterback, not obviously wanting to do that, but if I'm in a pinch and let's say like I have a Kyler and he's out and I really need a quarterback and that's the cheapest I can get and I would do it, but I wouldn't definitely not trade first for Keenan Allen. So from a market perspective, but sometimes you just have to say fuck it and just draft old guys that produce. So that was kind of my thinking there. Keenan Allen is probably, unless he dies and rides off into the sunset, he'll probably be scoring 16 points a game until that happens. And then I'm up at 9.9, and I was between Mike Williams and David Montgomery. I ended up going David Montgomery. I think he's going to shoot up once redraft season starts. So I just wanted to take him. I usually like to punt RB2 and just go with a bunch of gross guys and do it week by week, but I can always trade them later on. I think that's the thing with Dynasty that people get caught up in is like looking at their starting lineup in January, February, March, April, but you don't have to set your lineup until the season. So if you need to trade someone, if you need to move stuff around, if you need to, whatever, you can figure it out later on. So just draft the best players and deal with it later. So yeah, I'll be looking to fill out my flex spots in the next few rounds. It is a start 11, so it's a little bit deeper. So it's good to just have some guys you can throw in there. And then after round 12 or 13, I'll just go running backs and then just spray and pray at QB3 and just kind of like the best ball, just draft a bunch of gross Jacoby Brissetts and stuff like that. And they'll be valuable if they are starting. And you can plug them in if one of these guys gets hurt. So yeah, that's it for the night. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate all the comments and conversation. And yeah, I will turn on the notification bell so that if I do go live and you guys are chilling and want to join, you can hop in and we can talk some fantasy football. So yeah, that's it from me, guys. Have a good night. I'm very tired, and so I hope you guys have a good night and get some rest. Thanks so much, guys.